I want to acknowledge the Bidigal people of the Eora Nation. Just beneath the concrete and steel of modern Hurstville lies a deeper and richer story. Only minutes from the bustling centre of Hurstville lies the site of the first real meeting between the Australians and the settlers. People often think of the days the First Fleet spent in Botany Bay between January 19th and 24th, 1788, as lost days when nothing much happened. Recent sailing ship arrivals and century-old sketches help us to picture what it might have looked like then. In 1981, when Lieutenant Philip King's diary was edited, it was discovered that on the early morning of January 20th, 1788, he and Lieutenant Dawes rowed towards what they believed to be the southwest part of Botany Bay. They sought suitable places to disembark the convicts and establish the colony. They rowed into the Georges River, thinking it was part of Botany Bay. King's journey up the Georges River can be traced using landmarks he recorded that still exist. The journal records them coming past Como Point, where the railway now crosses the river. King wrote that he rounded Como Point to see a long shoal. This is today known as Mangrove Island. Sometime after 1 p.m., King arrived at what he called Lance Point. Today, it's called Gertrude Point. King and his crew climbed up from the river. They found a thick forest with deep, rich soil at the top of the slope. Meanwhile, Captain Philip was some distance away, exploring what's now called the Warrenora River, using the second boat. It was while King was on the top of the hill that he met some of the Australians. A spear was thrown and a warning shot fired. King and his men returned to their boat and waited for Philip to arrive. They stayed out of spear range. With the arrival of Captain Philip and his crew, the situation calmed. Tensions subsided almost as swiftly as they had erupted. Guided by necessity, or perhaps curiosity, the settlers pressed onward. Their small boats carved a path up the quiet waters of what we now know as Boggywell Creek. Lieutenant King's journals tell us they ventured as far as the creek's headwaters. As the settlers made their way up to the headwaters, the Australians followed along the shore. Today, we recognize this site as the Lime Kiln wetlands. But centuries ago, these wetlands bore witness to the determined strokes of oars, the murmur of voices charting unknown territory, and the Australians determining who these strangers were. While the full story remains a mystery, one thing is certain: those who came before us surely delighted in the generous harvest of oysters that thrived abundantly in these waters. Lieutenant King's diary reveals a vivid snapshot. The settlers lingered here for hours with the Australians, before embarking on their return journey in the late afternoon. Timing their departure with the ebb tide, they rode the river's retreating current downstream, crossing back to the First Fleet under fading light. By midnight, they'd rejoined the ship, their mission complete. The events at what we now call Gertrude Point and Lime Kiln Bay on that January afternoon in 1788 were overshadowed by the establishment of the penal settlement in Sydney. Then, in 2012, a keen scholar named Robert Howith examined King's diary. He combined this with an extensive knowledge of the Georges River to demonstrate that it was at Hurstville where the settlers and the Australians first gathered and shared time. And so Hurstville steps into the light of our colonial story. Think of the laughter echoing, the bonds forming, the simple strength of people coming together. That's the enduring legacy we inherit.